Well, hello guys, it's Frosty again. I wanted to talk about a few things today. First thing I wanted to talk about is something that I picked up on Amazon. I try not to do that anymore, but it came up and it was a pretty slick deal. Now, you'll find out later on that I have a thing for Wiha or Wiha screwdrivers. I love them. I just love the way that the handles fit in your hand. They're round, they're cushy, and they just work well. They seem to be fairly well made. What I did not know when I purchased these is I think the pliers, while they are good pliers, they're nice, the grips are excellent, they're insulated. I think they may be made in a place called SROV, which I believe is the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. So these are, while they say, made in Germany on them, I think the parts might be manufactured in Vietnam. Regardless, the work on them's pretty good. I guess you'd call them lineman's pliers. They actually work out excellent. I mean, they grip nice. The grind marks on them are all really nice and consistent. I like how they've got the little etching in there. And even the indentation, for me, it works really good on the little refrigeration caps. This thing will actually grab them and unscrew them for me. And they open wide enough, and they have kind of an aggressive enough jaw on them that you can get the big plastic caps off of some of the valves that you're going to need to open when you're working on, like a commercial freezer or a walk-in cooler or something like that. Now this set might not be for everybody, but the thing is, if you're working around a plant or in your electrical panel at home or something like that, and you don't want to get zapped, this little kit here for $103 might just prevent you from getting stuck to the panel and smelling like hot dogs. Okay, it comes with a nice pair of needle nose, about, little ones, maybe 6 or 7 inches. They're sharp. They have a wide open cutter. You can see on that end. The grips feel really good in your hand. They're not hard. They're kind of a soft, a stiff but a soft touch rubber. Again, the grinding on them is pretty consistent. They're not excellent. I mean, you can see some inconsistency in the tip if you look really close. But for the most part, that's a well-made, pair of needle nose. I'm happy with these, especially for what I spent on them. They do also come with a pair of dikes, which is actually just one pair of side cutters, but that's neither here nor there. Same deal. They did like a back cut grind on these, or a double, almost like they thought they were doing a 3-angle valve job or something. But they are sharp. They feel good in the hand. You can see some roughness in the forgings. Like they paid attention to detail where it mattered, but there are some spots that they ignored. Now, they don't feel like they're going to come apart. They're riveted together fairly well. Same thing, handles feel really good in the hand, and they give you a good selection of insulated screwdrivers. You've got 2 flat tips, fairly small and medium. I guess you'd call that a 1.0 by 4.5 and a 0.5 by 3.0 flat. You can't call these a pry bar because you'll break them right off. They're insulated, and they should be good up to 1,000 volts. Now, if you have to get into, say, an electric motor starter or something inside an electrical panel, you don't want to be dicking around in there with a regular metal screwdriver. You will get zapped right through the handle, or you have a bigger risk of actually arcing the shaft out on something, blowing a fuse, popping a breaker somewhere, and opening up a bigger can of worms for yourself. So they come with those. There's a pair of Phillips in here that are really nice. You've got an actual Phillips. It's not a DIN or what do they call that? A J-type or whatever it is. Rated for 1,000 volts. That is a #1 Phillips. And my favorite size handle, the big fat handle, which at least I believe the handle's made in Germany. These I believe are made in Germany. This is a #2, most common one you're ever going to use. I've actually used these quite a bit. I keep them clean. I either use that Tubbo towels that you can get off the tool trucks. I find them at Harbor Freight. Or I have some wipes that I use that I get at the refrigeration storehouse made by New Cal Joan, and they are fantastic. And we'll clean these up a little bit later on, and they'll be looking brand new. The little carry bag is fantastic. I kind of wish it had a belt clip on it, but it's high quality. It's stitched together really well. It's small. I may just put a little loop through there so I can grab it and carry it, but I don't have a problem just holding it like that. We'll show you these in action. Today we're gonna work on a freezer around the plant here. We have a reach-in that came out of a store that had a burnout. The compressor's dead. I did everything I could to get it to start. I tried replacing the start components. It's smoked. It's drawing 25 amps. So it's a dead player. What we're going to do is remove that from the unit, and we'll take the whole condensing unit off the top. We'll replace the filter dryer. We'll replace the compressor, replace the starting components, and we'll get the thing ready to put back on, solder in. And in the next video, we'll go ahead, solder up all those connections, and we'll show you how to charge it with Freon. Now, I have already recovered the gas out of this machine. Maybe one day I'll show you how to do that, but it's kind of a time-consuming process. If you have one where you can get the compressor to run, a lot of the times you can pump them down. If not, you have to hook up a little recovery machine, and you have to have a catch vessel. And unfortunately, when you have a compressor burnout, you can't reuse that gas. A lot of the times, if you're just decommissioning something, you can save that gas and use it over again. But we'll move over to where we're working, and we'll continue from there. Well, guys, this is about all we're going to need for tools to get the compressor off of that unit. This is not anything special. This little guy here, this impact driver, my lovely wife got that for me for Christmas several years ago. I like it because it's tiny, and it's rarely failed me. This is actually for cutting capillary tubing. You'll see that in action in a little bit, or it's a wire stripper. This is an 11-in-1 made by Klein. And this one's kind of slick. It has a Schrader core remover in it. I use that quite a bit. Just a little tubing cutter. And this particular bit set from Milwaukee is one of my favorites. If this is the one I normally use, which it's not, I've got some extra nut setters in it. Really, aside from a 1/2-inch nut setter, that's about all we're going to need. And I just happen to have a set of El Cheapo nut setters in my pocket, and they're magnetic. So let's move on over to the freezer. This is a fairly new unit. The thing about those damn Copeland compressors, you'll get 1 or 2 out of 10 that just shits the bed. Now, sometimes maybe they're getting moisture in the system when they're doing the initial setup and the initial charge. Maybe they're bad. This box is not that old. The only thing about this one is it's my first one. Being California, they keep changing gases. This one's charged with 448A. I'm going to have to borrow some gas to fill it up. But we'll move around the back. There's a panel on here I'm going to pull off just with 4 screws. This back panel right here to give us some more access. And what we're going to do is slide the whole condensing unit off. And when I get the camera set up there, you'll see just how easy that's going to be. Alrighty guys, as you can see, with that back panel removed, I've got all kinds of room. You have to excuse the mess that my workbench is in. All we have to do on this system, it's really simple. It's a capillary tube system. This little copper guy right here, that is your liquid line going into the evaporator. We're going to clip him off right at the filter dryer. That'll be around the other side. I'll see if I can get you a picture of him. That little blue guy right there. Then to try and make this as clean a replacement as we can, we'll pull the insulation back on the suction line as far as we can so as not to burn it and not to have to cut it off. And we're going to try and unsolder these pipes where they go into the compressor. Since the one we have is a direct replacement, it should look just like a factory installation when we're done. Now once we have the suction line undone and we have the capillary tube undone, our starting components are already off. The capacitor and the relay and the overload, those would normally be in a little black box here. We just have the pigtail that the whole unit plugs into and the wires for the condenser fan here, and I'll show you all that on the ground when we clean everything up. So we're going to go ahead and get to work here. Give me just a minute. Okay, there's our Milwaukee. 1 screw, 2 screws, back around here, 3 screws, and 4. If we're going to go any deeper, well, for some reason we had to remove the condenser first. We'd take the 2 screws out of that side, slide it over, pull it out. There's 4 holding this little fan motor on. We don't have to deal with any of that right now. This is just super simple stuff, guys. And now, we get to take the whole thing down in one piece, and it gives us the least number of chances to screw it up. You there? What are you doing on me? 5 screws. And I'll bet you there's a 6th.